Hamukandavamag. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Got it. Okay. Text 8. Yatsa nidhava hamukandavamagnedam Indram chasamaraganam tarasha vijitya Labha sabha maya krita bhutas silpamaya Digyo aram nirpatyo balim adhivarete. So the word for word, yat, whose, sanib ho, being nearby, aham, myself, who, note of astonishment, kandavam, the protected forest of Indra, king of heaven, agnaye, unto the fire god, adam, delivered, indram, Indra, cha, also, sa, along with, amara ganam, the demigods, tarasha, with all dexterity, vijitya, having conquered, labha, having obtained, sabha, assembly house, maya krita, built by Maya, adbhuta, very wonderful, silpa, art and workmanship, maya, potency, digbihya, from all directions, aharam, collected, nirpatayaha, all princes, balim, presentations, adhivare, brought, te, your. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Because he was near me, it was possible for me to conquer with great dexterity the powerful king of heaven, Indradev, along with his demigod associates, and thus enable the fire god to devastate the Kandava forest. And only by his grace was the demon named Maya saved from the blazing Kandava forest. And thus we could build our assembly house of wonderful architectural workmanship, where all the princes assembled during the performance of Rajasuya Yagya and paid you tributes. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The demon Maya Danava was an inhabitant of the forest Gandhava. And when the Gandhava forest was set on fire, he asked protection from Arjuna. Arjuna saved his life. And as a result of this, the demon felt obliged. He reciprocated by building a wonderful assembly house for the Pandavas, which attracted the extraordinary attention of all state princes. They felt the supernatural power of the Pandavas, and thus without grudge, all of them submitted and paid tribute to the empire. The demons possess wonderful and supernatural powers to create material wonders, but they are always disturbing elements of the society. The modern demons are the harmful material scientists who create some material wonders for disturbance in society. For example, the creation of nuclear weapons has caused some panic in human society. Maya was also a materialist like that, and he knew the art of creating such wonderful things. And yet, Lord Krishna wanted to kill him. When he was chased both by the fire and by the wheel of Lord Krishna, he took shelter of a devotee as Arjuna, who saved him from the wrath of the fire of Lord Krishna. Devotees are therefore more merciful than the Lord. And in devotional service, the mercy of a devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. Both the fire and the Lord ceased from chasing the demon as soon as both of them saw that the demon was given shelter by such a devotee as Arjuna. This demon felt obliged to Arjuna, wanted to do some service to show his gratefulness, but Arjuna declined to accept anything from him in exchange. Lord Krishna, however, being pleased with Maya for his taking shelter of a devotee, asked him to render service unto King Yudhisthira by building a wonderful assembly house. The process is that by the grace of the devotee, the mercy of the Lord is obtained, and by the mercy of the Lord, a chance to serve the Lord's devotee is obtained. The club of Bhishma saying was also a gift of Maya Danava. I'll read the translation again. Because he was near me, it was possible for me to conquer with great dexterity the powerful king of Indra, the powerful king of heaven, the powerful king of heaven, Indradev, along with his demigod associates, and thus enable the fire god to devastate the Kandava forest. And only by his grace was the demon named Maya saved from the blazing Kandava forest. And thus we could build our assembly house of wonderful architectural workmanship, where all the princes assembled during the performance of yagas of the Rajasuya Yagya and paid you tributes. Om Aganati Mirandasya Gana Gana Shalakaya Jakshu Amalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pasai Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Pasatyade Shatarine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pasai Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Tinamine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shitatmane Shri Gaura Karna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Tinamine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpata Rubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hari Hari Bol. So I apologize for all the devotees that came to hear Leela. Leela was, had visited her spiritual master in California, and when she came back, she wasn't feeling so well. So we apologize, and we're here just trying to somehow give her some support, and at the same time get some purification from this verse. So I noticed when I looked at this verse last night that the meter in the verse had changed. So text 7, the meter changed from text 6. And that's helping us to understand that the mood has changed. Arjuna's mood has shifted. And so when we see these meters changing, sometimes it reflects what's going on with the person at the time. So here, Arjuna is speaking to Yudhishthira, and we know when we spoke from text 6 that Arjuna was experiencing this loss. He was experiencing that Krishna, had left, and he's speaking to his brother Yudhishthira, and he is sad, of course. At the same time, Arjuna is, as we know, he's enacting a pastime with the Lord. He's his Lord's friend, and he's teaching us, when somebody very close to us leave, what a mood that can be there. So now he's shifting from that mood, and now he's accepting the reality that Krishna is gone. He's speaking this to Yudhishthira, and he's feeling this pain of loss. He's actually sharing this also, with Yudhishthira. Now his mood is going to teach us about another aspect of when someone leaves, and that's in taking shelter of the memories of what you shared with that person. And so here, this is Arjuna. Now the mood is shifted, and now he's fully engaged in telling these pastimes. He's reflecting these memories that he had with the Lord. And so here, I believe he told a story yesterday, and today he's telling this, sharing this other story, this other pastime, and just remembering these beautiful activities with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here in this text, he's sharing that it's because Krishna was close to him, because the Lord was near to him, that he was able to conquer Indradev in this pastime. And he's explaining that this fire, this forest fire, this Kandava forest, there's so many beautiful points that's in this pastime that he's going to share with us. And so he's reflecting on some of the most important, Srila Prabhupada is helping us to reflect on some of the most important points of this pastime. So he's saying that Indradev, he was able to defeat Indradev and his devotee, his associates, all his associates. And in this way, he was able to support Agni, who was also a person that was coming to Arjuna for help, as we'll hear as Prabhupada tells us a little bit about the story. And Arjuna is saying that only by the grace of the Lord, only by this mercy of the Lord, was this demon that's named Mayadanava saved. The demon Mayadanava, that it was only because of Krishna's mercy. And we understand from the Bhagavad Gita that everything emanates from the Supreme Lord. Everything. The fire emanated from Krishna. Mayadanava emanated from Krishna. Everything, absolutely everything is coming from Krishna. And so all of these different pastimes are kind of like Krishna's way of teaching us, of helping us, and also Krishna enjoying with his friends. In this case, he's enjoying with Arjuna this particular pastime. And then Arjuna said he's sharing with us in a translation. He's sharing with Yudhishthira that because of this pastime, he's having this memory because of this pastime with Krishna. This is how come Mayadanava built this palatial. What was it? It was like a hall, like a palatial hall for King Yudhishthira. And there Yudhishthira performed the Rajasuya sacrifice, which is a great sacrifice. So let's look a little bit about and look at Mayadanava. Let's kind of just look at this person who is in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Quite amazing. It's so beautiful how we can hear about the demons and we can hear about the devotees in Srimad Bhagavatam. And here, Mayadanava, he was one of those demons that sometimes he supported the demons and sometimes he also supported the devas. He could be on either side. And I know that in the material world, we know people like that. They could be on both sides. They may just, hear one side and, try to help on that side and hear the other side and try to help on that side. And oftentimes that's not so understood, especially in this case, Mayadanava, he had demoniac. He was a demon. He had demoniac nature. Still, he would make himself available, in different ways at different times. So then Prabhupada now he's helping us to understand more about this purport and about this demon and how this mood of Arjuna, telling the story, like what is it that we are to get from this particular story? What is Arjuna teaching us by sharing this story with Yudhishthira? So Prabhupada tells us that this demon Mayadanava, he was living in this forest. And it was his forest where he lived, the place where he resided. And this place was set on fire. And Prabhupada said he asked for protection. So that's key, protection for us, that the demons, when they're in deep distress, they reach out for help. Everyone reaches out for help. Everyone looks for shelter when there is some distress. And ultimately, we understand that Krishna is our ultimate shelter. Krishna explains to us in every scripture that we study. Krishna is, in any scripture, the Lord is ultimately our protection, whether it's the Bible, Quran, Bhagavad Gita, whichever scripture. Krishna, ultimately, God is our ultimate shelter. And so here we're learning about God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and his friend, and how his friend is going to give protection to this demon. So if we hear some of the story, I tell a little bit of the story, not much, because the story is in the Mahabharata. The story is also in, we can read about the story in the 7th canto of SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. And we can also read about the story in the 10th canto of SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. So Prabhupada emphasizes this pastime quite a lot in order to help us. But just a brief summary of this pastime is that Mayadanava, he's an architect by profession. That's what he does. He can build. He's very good at building. And he designs these amazing palaces. And oftentimes, because he's so good at it, it brings competition between the demons and the devotees, the demons and the devas. Well, not the devotees, but the devas. The devas are often sometimes devotees too. So yeah, this creates some challenges because there's always this competition, or always this fight for what's supposedly right and what is the best thing to do. And so in this case, the devas, they are always, many of the devas are devotees of the Lord. And so as a result of that, they're always protected. They're always cared for by the Lord and the Lord's devotees, especially by the Lord. The Lord himself, Krishna himself, often intervenes in the conflicts or the competitions between the devas and the devotees. I'm sorry, between the devas and the demigods. So here in this case, he's a demon, and he's trying to support, he's supporting the demons, his demon family, and he lives in the forest, and he's not wanting to leave that forest, of course. However, Agni Dev is having a problem, right? Agni is having some sickness in his stomach, some digestive problem. And so he is wanting to get some medicinal herb, which happens to be in that forest, in that Gandhava forest. And so Krishna and Arjuna, they were kind of, it's explained that they were like on a picnic, and they were taking a walk. And so they were approached by this Brahmana. And Prabhupada, it's explained in the Mahabharata that this Brahmana, he was reddish in color. Everything about him was red. His hair was red, his face was red, his whole body was red, everything was red. And he approached Arjuna and Krishna in this mood of a Brahmana, and explained that, he was having a problem and he needed food. He had to get some food. And so Arjuna was like, no problem. Okay, well, fine. We will definitely give you some food. And he said, well, it's not just ordinary food that I need. I need food from this forest, the Gandhava forest, because it's medicine that's in this forest. And this food is going to cure this illness that I am experiencing. And he told them that he was Agni Dev. And so then Arjuna was, okay, we will help you to get this food. And so Agni said, however, there's something you need to know. The only way that I can get all this food to help my indigestion, whatever was going on with this digestive system, is to burn this forest, because that's how I'm going to eat all these herbs. And so Arjuna agreed. Okay, well, burn the forest then. However, Agni Dev said, but I can't burn the forest because every time I try to burn the forest, Indra, the demigod of rain, sends all this thunderstorm rain, sends rain and thunder and lightning, and he quenches the fire that I send out into the Gandhava forest. So he wanted Arjuna, to stop Indra from sending these storms that would quench the fire. And so, of course, Arjuna, he agreed. Now, the thing is, all of these different entities were living in the forest. So just imagine, I mean, we hear sometimes about forest fires in different parts of, America. And we know that they burned, they can burn down everything. And all of the entities that live in that part of where the forest is, they have to find other places to live. So this is the case that happened with Mahadanava. He was living in that forest. And so he needed a place where he could go in order to, get out of this fire. And so Arjuna is shooting all these, arrows to stop the storm. And all of these people are coming out. They're all coming out of the forest. And Mahadanava was one of those persons that came out and approached Arjuna for protection. So Prabhupada tells us, he says, Arjuna saved his life. And he saved the life of Mahadanava because he was going to get burnt for sure in the forest. Because, ultimately because Agnidev was protected, by Arjuna, the forest burnt down. In other words, Arjuna was able to stop Indra from sending all the rain. So now this demon is coming, to ask Arjuna to please help me. I believe, if I remember correctly, he came in the form of Tashaka, or I think that's the name of it. Came like a snake or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But anyway, he came in another form. And of course, Arjuna was like, yeah, Arjuna is this great warrior and he gives protection. He's a Kshatriya. That's his service, that's his duty. So he gave him protection. Now, the point that Prabhupada is making here is he's saying that this demon, he talks about this demon, and he says this demon possessed wonderful and supernatural powers to create material wonders. So there's a pastime of this demon with Lord Shiva, which I won't go into that pastime, but in any case, the conclusion of that pastime was another fight between the demigods and the demons. And Shiva came to protect the demigods, and Mahadanava, really kind of created this, I believe it was like 3 different palaces, 3 different places where the demons could take shelter. And that way, Lord Shiva wasn't able to get to him, supposedly not able to get to them, but Lord Shiva was able to get to them. And so then Mahadanava, who has these supernatural powers that Prabhupada is speaking about, he created a well with this nectar. And Prabhupada explains that nectar, it's kind of like a super potent drink that protects people, and then nobody can get to them. So nobody can destroy them. And so he created this well with this drink, this nectar drink for the demons. And so the demons were in this well. And part of that pastime is how Lord Krishna got Lord Brahma and somebody else, I believe, to go to this well, and they went in the form of a cow and a calf. And anyway, this pastime is quite a wonderful pastime. The story, though, the point of this pastime, the point of all of these pastimes is to let us know that people are always acting in different ways for different things. And there's always that nature, that demoniac nature that wants things for themselves and for their people, so to speak, the demons. Mahadanava is representative of the demons, and he's trying to protect his demons. So of course, he's always fighting against the demigods. And he's a very powerful person, very powerful, because demons can be very powerful. And so Prabhupada says that they're always disturbing elements of the society. And we understand that. We see, he goes on to say the modern demons are harmful the harmful material scientists who create these different things for disturbance in the society. And he gives the example of the nuclear weapon. It's caused so much panic. When Prabhupada wrote this, it's over 50 years ago. And we see today that's one of the panic that many people are experiencing is the possibility, at least there were a lot of talk about this, of nuclear weapons in the war that's presently going on. So, this is something that is constantly existing in this age of Kali. So this tendency for the demons to create things to make a disturbance in the world is not something new. It's not a new thing. I mean, today we have the disturbance of, the pandemic. We have the disturbance of different things that are invented to help us, supposedly by the scientists. In many cases, some of these things may or may not be successful. Some cases they are, some cases they're not. Some cases they test it on people, they test things on people, and then you find out later that that same thing is the cause of what killed the people. So there's so many different aspects of this. Technology is another aspect of this whole modern society disturbance. These days, most people, they wake up in the morning and that's the first thing they do is put on their, iPhone or their smartphone or whatever. That's the first thing. And it's not necessarily for devotional practice. Sometimes people are checking just, what's going on in the world. So then we went, in terms of that, we went from 3Gs to 4Gs to 5Gs. And every one of these different Gs is creating some G disturbance in the body. And so this is a constant disturbance. So Prabhupada, he brings us to that point in this purport to let us know, like, okay, this is not just in that time. It's not just in the time of Arjuna fighting. This is going on presently, and we need to become aware of it. And once we become aware, of course, we all are aware. The question is, what do we do? What did we do about this? So then Prabhupada says, he let us know. He says, so Mayadanava, he was like a materialist like that. He was very, very powerful. Nowadays, the materialists, they don't have so much of these supernatural powers as some of the demons did, in that time. Some do. Some, you can find some people that still have some supernatural powers. Not so much. Not so much. And so Prabhupada brings this point to us and says, and Krishna wanted to kill this person. Krishna wanted to kill Mayadanava because Krishna was with Arjuna during that time when this whole scenario of Indra and the Agni and the forest, and Krishna was very much involved. Krishna is sending his fire weapon to destroy the forest. Arjuna is shooting arrows at Agni. So it was like a real battle. So Prabhupada says here that when he chased both by the wheel of Krishna, this Mayadanava, he took shelter of the devotee, he took shelter of Arjuna. And so now Prabhupada brings us to another point of this purport. So he's setting it up in such a way that, okay, here's this pastime, it's going on, and it went on in such a way that Krishna is involved with Arjuna, his friend. And now, and his friend, is going to get this support from the Lord. Even though Krishna is also wanted to kill this demon, because, Krishna, he kills the demons. That's what he does. That's his pastimes, right? He comes and he kills the demons. And so now Prabhupada is shifting and he's saying, okay, Krishna kills the demons. However, the devotees, they're more merciful than the Lord sometimes, right? Akinchana Gochara, the devotees, they're more merciful. And in devotional service, the mercy of the devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. So we can understand this from some of the beautiful pastimes that we have in our scriptures. One that I really like, there's so many. One that I often think about is the one of Shivananda Shain in our Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Shivananda Shain was so attached, to this dog. And this attachment to the dog, he was taking care of this dog, and his dog was following their party as they traveled, and he would take care of the dog. And Lord Chaitanya, being kind, being merciful, he saw how much Shivananda Shain was taking care of this dog. And he actually blessed this dog to go back to Godhead because of Shivananda Shain's desire to care for this dog. Now, this was not an ordinary dog in one sense. However, the way the story is told to us is that this dog was, revered, was cared for by Shivananda Shain. And so Lord Chaitanya, of course, the Lord then, saw how much his devotee was giving this affection to the dog. And so that dog was actually taken to the spiritual world. It wasn't even like just liberated in a brahmajyoti, or was given, another a spiritual body. And so we have pastimes like that. We also have pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj, how he was in such distress with his father, who was mercifully just treating him in such a horrible way, because all he simply wanted to do was hear and hear about the Lord, chant the Lord's glories. And he was so envious, his father, that he couldn't take that. And we see that after he was killed, after Hiranyakashipu killed after Lord Nrsingadev killed Hiranyakashipu, we see that Prahlad, what was his mood? What was his mood to the Lord was, please, just, give my father liberation. He was asking for his father, some mercy for his father. So in that way, you see that the devotees, they're very kind, even when people do atrocious things. We also see the pastime of Draupadi, when Ashvatthama killed all her sons. And, actually Krishna told Arjuna to kill Ashvatthama. However, because Draupadi has a soft heart towards Ashvatthama's mother, then we see that the whole plan got changed, right? Of course, we know that Ashvatthama was still dishonored because he got his hair cut off, and that for Kshatriya, that's a dishonor. However, that pastime still teaches us that Draupadi's heart was so soft, and Draupadi, being a devotee of the Lord, her heart towards the mother of Ashvatthama is what made Krishna and Arjuna change their plans. But to the dismay, to the disgust of Bhishma, Bhishma was not happy with that plan. But Krishna teaches us, his devotees are so very merciful. Again, we have another pastime of Druva Maharaj, and we see that pastime, how, even though he was insulted by his stepmother, such harsh words by his stepmother, and he took shelter of the Lord. And we know that when he finally saw the Lord, and when he was given an opportunity, to go to the spiritual world, Druva asked for his mother to go, right? That was the mood. It's like, please, let my mother, be taken to the spiritual world. So the mood of the devotees is always the mood of how to bring people closer to Krishna, how to bring others closer to Krishna. And so these pastimes in the Bhagavatam, they're there to help us to understand this is the mood of a devotee. This is how the devotees, they're giving this mercy. If, for example, we didn't have the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, yesterday we're reading from the CC, or Tuesday we're reading from the CC, and we're hearing Krishnadas Kaviraj speak about the great fortune that devotees have, to be able to practice devotional service. This is a great fortune because devotional service is sort of independent, and devotional service is independent. Bhakti is independent in one sense, very independent, even though of course, everything comes from Krishna, but bhakti can come to somebody or not come to somebody. And so by the mercy of a pure devotee, a pure representative of the Lord, they often come down to the Madhyam platform to give bhakti to others. And so this is the mercy of devotees, how kind that they are. They're often on the devotees that are on the Uttama platform. They're having personal relationship with the Lord, nothing to do with this material world. They will come down to this platform of Madhyam just so that they can help devotees, just so they could give this, they can give bhakti to people that are suffering in this Kali Yuga, in this material world. So this mercy cannot be underestimated, that is coming to us, from Krishna's devotees. And we are also aspiring to become Krishna's devotees. So we are also to develop this quality. Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita, in that 12th chapter of devotional service, he gives so many different qualities that makes one dear to him. And in those qualities, of a person that's dear to Krishna, is that one of the qualities is that a devotee is magnanimous, a devotee is kind, a devotee is always caring for other people. This is the mood that Krishna wants us to develop, these qualities. And so even in distressful situations, especially in distressful situations, especially in situations that seemingly are totally opposite to what we would want or how we would think that it's supposed to be. So this is the situation in this pastime. Krishna is showing to Arjuna that because you want to give this protection, you're giving this protection to Mayadanava, then okay, I'm supporting you fully supporting you. Prabhupada goes on to talk about how the fire and the Lord, they stopped chasing the demon. They stopped chasing the demon just because that demon was trying to take shelter of devotee. Now, there are many demons in the sastras, and we know in our world, there are many people that have demoniac tendencies where they may not be trying to give people protection and shelter for Krishna. We know that there are people that are, in this world that have demoniac tendencies where they are thinking, I, me, and mine, right? It belongs to me. It's all for me. But however, that mood is there. However, that's not to stop us, though, from acting on the platform of understanding that we as devotees are to be merciful. We as devotees are to be kind. Like, for example, I see every time I go in the chat, the African chat, I see that there are so much book distribution going on. It's just so beautiful, so beautiful. And I see that there's prasadam distribution. This is the mercy of the devotees, because people are not always favorable. Most people in Kali Yuga are not favorable. In Africa, fortunately, people are more favorable because people are pious. However, in most parts of the world, people are definitely not favorable, for hearing about Krishna. Or some people won't take prasadam. They won't. Nowadays, people are very, very, very cautious about who they eat from, what they eat. Now, things we used to cook and offer to people before as prasadam, everybody's vegan. They won't eat it. You got to figure out cooking things that Krishna doesn't like, Krishna doesn't say that he likes, just to try to help people to come closer to Krishna. Here at Gitanagri Farm, the devotees are trying to learn how to make vegan cheese because people don't eat cheese anymore. They don't want it. So these times, Kali Yuga times, is very, very difficult to attract people to Krishna consciousness. And so we have to devise so many different ways of how to do that. This is the mercy of the devotees. This is the mercy that Srila Prabhupada has blessed devotees to be able to utilize the intelligence to be able to do that. So when we do this, as I was reading yesterday with, or the day before, I was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Lord Chaitanya, we know he, in the pastime where he is asked to speak to the Mayavad philosophers, right, in Varanasi, he at first just refused. He said, no, I'm not gonna talk, you know. And then he left and he went to Mathura, and then he came back from Mathura, and then he decided then that he would, well, actually, again, a Brahmana approached him, Lord Chaitanya, and asked and invited him to his house. And then at his house, there were these Mayavad philosophers there. And so these Mayavad philosophers, you know, when they saw Lord Chaitanya, as soon as they saw him, he's so effulgent. Lord Chaitanya is just so beautiful that they understood immediately this person, there's something very wonderful about this person. They could understand that, even though their intention was to criticize him, was to find fault, was to denounce him. That was their intention. However, when they saw him, they realized, okay, let's listen to what he has to say. And of course, they still criticize him. They're like, why are you acting like a crazy person? Why are you like singing on the street like you're a mad person? You're acting, you know, like a fool. What is wrong with you? This was their mood with Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya, you know, he taught us Trinadapi Sunichena, and that was the mood he practiced, that Trinadapi mood. And so he listened to them, and he listened. And finally, when he spoke, he said, well, yeah, I am simply just doing what my spiritual master told me to do, you know. I don't know what happens when I chant this mantra. I don't know. My body just start acting like this, and all these things start going on. I'm not sure. I don't know why it's going on like this. And then he said, and he told them, he said, I went to my spiritual master, and I told my spiritual master, I don't know what's going on. You know, like, why is this going on with my body? My body. Of course, we know Lord Chaitanya is teaching us, right? And so his spiritual master told him, he said, you know, keep chanting that mantra, keep chanting that mantra. He says, so I'm just chanting the mantra because that's what my spiritual master told me to do. And so when he spoke in such a humble way, and he spoke in a way that was so very convincing, you know, and so surrendered to the plan of the Lord, surrendered to the plan of the Lord. And what is the plan of the Lord? One of the plans of the Lord for us is to take shelter of the bona fide spiritual master, take shelter of the Lord's representatives. That's one of the plan of the Lord, to help us. And so he taught us that by his example. He said, I'm just doing what my spiritual master told me to do. And so in that way, the Mayavadis could hear from him. And actually, they kind of accepted him. Of course, they came back with, why don't you speak Vedanta? They still criticized him about something else. And then Lord Chaitanya again was able to address that. And the purport to that, one of those purport, the conclusion of one of those purport, Prabhupada said, this is the mood of the devotee. This is the mood of the preacher. This is the mood to develop, is to, people are already inimical in the world. We don't want to make them even more inimical. We want to find ways where we can somehow bring them to the lotus feet of the Lord, somehow. And so we are given, Paramatma in the heart gives us intelligence, you know, of different ways for us to be able to do that. And so those persons that are going out and distributing books and giving prasadam and whatever, you know, however, whatever they're doing, they're trying, you know, in some way to bring Krishna to others. As I watch, you know, the excitement of what's going on in Africa, I'm so encouraged, because it's kind of like, once again, the mood of, you know, like activities, you know. And it's exciting to see. It's exciting to see, because it's not just one city. It's not like it's just in Accra, or it's not like it's just in Benin, or it's not like it's just in Port Harcourt. It's all over. It's all over, you know. And of course, some places are doing a little more than others. Lome, I see, is doing so much. This is the mood of a devotee. Devotee is more kind in that sense, because they're going out to the demons, demoniac mentality, demoniac people. Prabhupada says here that Krishna was pleased with Maya because Maya took shelter of a devotee. He was pleased. So when you please the Lord, then the Lord, he offers many opportunities. He gives us, so many ways that we can engage in serving. And so because Maya Danava, because he offered the service to Arjuna, or actually Krishna asked him. Krishna asked this demon, okay, Arjuna protected you. You're taking shelter of him. Because this demon asked Arjuna, what can I do? How can I reciprocate with you? That's another very key word in this purport. How do we reciprocate, with people when they do things that are encouraging, and they do things that are supportive, and they do things that are caring with us? How do we reciprocate? And so even though he's a demon, he's like, how do I reciprocate with you? Because that's a principle. That's a universal principle. When someone does something, we try to reciprocate. So Arjuna protected him. So even when a person has the most demoniac mentality, if they think somebody is trying to help them, support them, take care of them, then they will think in some way, what can I do for that person? Some way they will try to reciprocate. Now, of course, there are people that, the demonic tendency is so strong. And in general, because the Lord in the heart, Paramatma is there. And so here he wanted to know, like, what can I do for you? How can I in any way do something to show you how grateful I am that you saved me from that forest fire? And Arjuna said, no, you can't do anything for me. I don't need anything. And then Krishna intervened, and Krishna says, yeah, there is something you can do. That's Krishna's mercy. Gives us, even though that demoniac tendency may be so strong, Krishna intervenes and gives some devotional service. Krishna told him, yeah, you can build. You're an architect. You have all these skills, all these powers. Why don't you build something very powerful and very wonderful and very beautiful, for Yudhishthira, so he could do this Rajasuya sacrifice? And then Prabhupada says that he built something that was so amazing. It was so amazing that even Duryodhana came there. Of course, we know as the pastime go on, Duryodhana got really upset with some things there. However, the point was, the place was just so beautiful. It was mesmerizing. Everybody got captured. All the princes, everyone wanted to be at this Rajasuya sacrifice because of this place that this demon had built. So Krishna teaches us again another lesson, that even if someone might have some demoniac tendencies, how can we engage them in devotional service? Well, how we may have to really pray to Paramatma and really go, find some intelligence, beyond what we might think we have to be able to do that. But Bhakti does that for us. Bhakti gives us that intelligence. And it's how we connect, we connect with Bhakti Devi, how we connect with understanding that what is Krishna's plan? What does Krishna want? What does Krishna want me to do in each and every situation, each and every day? So then Prabhupada concludes this purport. He says the process is that by the grace of the Lord, the mercy of the Lord is the grace of the devotee. By the grace of the devotee, the mercy of the Lord is obtained. So by the grace of the devotee, the demons and the atheists, everyone, whoever they may be, they get that mercy from the Lord. So this is one of those, like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? There's this whole theory, philosophy. What comes first? Well, the devotees give the mercy, and then Prabhupada says, and by the mercy of the Lord, they get a chance to serve the Lord. So devotees, we need to become very sophisticated in thinking how to give the mercy to the most demoniac, how to give them mercy when we know that something can be done differently. We know that what is going on might be creating so much disturbance. How can we somehow make a difference? How can we, with the bhakti that we have, give those persons opportunities to be able to get the mercy of the Lord? That's the intention of a Vaishnava, is to always give the mercy, give the mercy somehow. So Prabhupada did. Prabhupada came to the most degraded place in the most horrible situations. People did all kinds of amazing, dirty things, with Srila Prabhupada when he was in the early days. If we read the Lilamrita and hear what Prabhupada went through. But that didn't stop Prabhupada from being kind. And it didn't stop him from having those qualities that endear him to Krishna. And so this is our challenge in this world. Our challenge is not just that it's really important to read Srila Prabhupada's books. It's very important. I saw His Holiness Kavichandra Maharaj encouraging the devotees, to read the books. So yes, it's not enough to just distribute them. We want to distribute them. And yes, we want to read them. And most importantly is we want to practicalize them in our lives. It's not just like we talk it, we can read it and we can kind of get some intellectual understanding. It's how we are able to practice some of these lessons that we're learning. So I will end here today because I do have a workshop today on compassionate listening, which is actually I was just thinking about how when we listen, to these texts in the scriptures, this is directly listening to those personalities. This is the most relishable part of reading Srila Prabhupada's books, is that we are able to compassionately listen, in this case, to Mayadanava, okay? If we listen to what he was experiencing, even though he was a demon, and if we listen to, his story, prior to, him taking birth as a demon, what is his story? And we inquire in this way. Then we get to kind of enter into this mood of these great, great personalities, like Arjuna, like this right now, this pastime of Arjuna that we're reading is just so beautiful, because he's like, he's sad. And now he's just telling his stories, his memories, and we can all relate to that. All of us have had some experience in our life where we experience a loss and we have memories. Most of the time, for many people that don't understand how to deal with, grief situations, is they don't tell their memories. They don't share their memories. They don't want to speak about their memories because they think it's too painful. And they think that that's what's gonna, create, more disturbance in their heart. However, when we study grief and we study trauma, we learn it's quite the opposite. It's quite the opposite. When we experience grief, that is the time to tell our stories, tell our memories, share our memories. And so, we want to thank Arjuna for sharing his memory about this beautiful pastime in the Gandhara forest. Thank you, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mother Raj. And Hare Krishna. I have with me a special guest today.
Padmanabh Prabhu, Haribol, your mercy, your mercy, your blessing. Why didn't he ask you to give this class? That is crazy, Sahadev.
I just wanted to listen to you. I can. That's so nice. Thank you for sharing your wonderful realization and connecting with different stories and practical explanations from Bhagavatam relating to how devotees are so merciful. Draupadi, Druva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, so many stories you related. Shivananda said. It was wonderful, actually. Thank you for your nice sharing.
That I am so embarrassed. You know why I'm embarrassed? Because I have to come back to Mayapur just to study verses to complement classes.
Okay.
I am with you, but I think I'm stuck here. If you take me with you.
Come.
All right, so devotees, it's time for questions. And okay, we have His Grace GBC.
Usha Prabhu. Well,
Krishna
maybe
Prabhu.
can we have Padmanav Prabhu answer questions, please?
Yes.
No, Mother, you are giving the class.
Yes. Please.
Let's spare Prabhuji for a while.
Thank you, Mother. My question is on mercy. You said the mercy of the Lord comes from the devotee. So the mercy of the Lord, sometimes we see devotees chastising devotees. Is that also part of the mercy of the Lord?
It depends. It
Because
depends.
many devotees have been chastised and they lose interest. Many even leave the movement. Can it be considered as the mercy of the Lord as well?
Well, in this case, in this pastime, Krishna, he actually was chastising Madanava because he was chasing him, right? He was going to kill him. So, every situation is different. You're speaking about us as devotees living today in the world. And devotees are on different levels of realizations about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, about their relationship with the Lord, about their relationship with each other. So Rupa Goswami has given us the 6 loving exchanges to practice. And so in our practice, oftentimes, we may, we may not be on a level that is, how do I say, it's not a level that is pure, is fully pure to really live those 6 exchanges, because we are conditioned, right? So from your question, what I'm hearing you ask is, when a person gets chastised, it depends on the person that is chastising them, what their intention is. Sometimes devotees get chastised by the spiritual master, and that really is to help that person. In my own case, in my own experience, I probably am the devotee that got chastised the most by my spiritual master. Probably people use, even devotees that just would know my, the relationship with my spiritual master and myself, they would say, he chastised you so much. How can you take it? He's always chastising you, and I never really thought much about that he was chastising me. I just thought he's trying to teach me how to do things. However, now that he's not here physically, I can see why he chastised me in so many ways, because now that has so much value in my life. So there's both sides. There are devotees that are in the modes. Sometimes they practice bhakti, but they may still be in the modes, and they may, chastise based on their own personal, intention, or something that they may have, some expectations they may have from their own personal perspective. However, there's also chastisement that comes from love, and chastisements that comes from wanting us to really take more shelter of Krishna. So it depends. I can't just say it's one way or another. And you guys know me anyway. I'm always kind of like.
Thank you, Mother. My continuation question is, who and what is authority? And can we determine it by one's action? Who is authority?
So when we think of authority, so when we think of authority, the first thought that comes to me about authority is the verse Tadvidi Paripatena Sevaya. That's probably one of the verses that I've learned from the very beginning of my Krishna consciousness, that I understood who's the authority. Tad Vidi Paripatena, the spiritual master. Krishna ultimately is the authority, the spirit, and he passes, his authority down, right? The cyclic succession. So if something is coming from the spiritual master, then that's an authority, right? That's an authority. Now, the authority, the spiritual master, gives other people authority. And so if he's, sanctioning those other persons as authority, and that those persons that they sanction may do things not according to our expectations, then we need to go to that authority. We need to go to the one that sanctioned them to be an authority, right? So if, for example, the spiritual master sanctions a temple president, and the temple president is not acting according to sadhu, guru, sastra, then we go to guru and we say, okay, this is what's happening. They're not acting according to, what's there in the scriptures. And then the guru needs to explore that, investigate that. And if the guru doesn't do that, then there's a whole body that will speak to the guru also. That's a process, But generally, the guru is merciful. The guru and the thing is, all devotees are merciful. It's just that we are conditioned and we have different levels of awareness of giving mercy. I don't know. Does that help, Kusha, Prabhu?
Thank you, Mother. Thank you. It helps, unless if Padmanayan Goswami would like to add.
Yes, please. I would love to hear myself.
I would just agree with what Mother said to us.
I agreed already, but I also want to agree with you. What do you say?
What she said, I'm 100% agreeing with her. One time she mentioned that the mood with which the devotee is chastising, and of course, many times, spiritual master, he enters the disciples to listen to the authorities who live in the temple. And then again, it comes to the point, what is the mood of that authority? Is it always correct, or sometimes he might be having some personal agenda behind? And if he is corrupt, then he may try to take this advantage of, oh, now your Guru Maharaj is interested to me, and whatever I am doing, you're supposed to listen. It doesn't mean that we have to shut down our intelligence and we don't have the power, or we don't have right to ask the question to clarify the misunderstandings. And then if it's not, then as Mother said correctly, go back to your spiritual authority, your guru. And if no, otherwise there is a kind of a committee, we have to approach through them. I mean to say, we are living in an imperfect world, but Prabhupada has given us a perfect society. When we have understood the philosophy correctly and we apply our intelligence, then we can find the way out. Not necessarily we get frustrated by seeing somebody who is not behaving properly and we leave the organization. So what? By living, where are you going? What is the best place? No, this is the best place. And at the same time, there might be some kind of, even if somebody like, okay, let us say, we are living in a country like US, which is supposed to be the first world country. And then they have got all sorts of, arrangements to give security to the people, right? But still, there is some problem. And we are living in a spiritual organization within material world. That we have to always keep in mind. So it is expected that sometimes a person may behave little, differently, and we should not get so much disturbed to a point that we have to leave the organization. Rather, if you are so intelligent, if your intelligence says that you can leave this society, then where is the better place? Ask yourself. Do you think there is a better place than, this Hare Krishna movement that you can live comfortably with? So it comes back to the, person also who is taking a decision to leave a devotee community. Rather, you apply your intelligence to find a solution within by talking to the senior members, I would say. That's another way to look into it.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your nectar.
Thank you.
Thank you. At the end of the day, Kusha, there's one verse that I always treasure, and I don't know, I think I know just a part of it. When things just get so rough that I just don't understand, I go to this verse, Natenu Kampam, Prabhu, that's in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. And that verse is always like soothing. It always soothes me because, yeah, there's always going to be some challenge, no doubt.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Mother, thank you for quoting this 10 canto. But Prabhupada say I should not read 10 canto unless I begin from canto 1. So how can I go and read this 10 canto?
You know, Srila Prabhupada is amazing because, you know, when I read the first canto with the conversation between Narada Muni and Srila Vyasadeva, and I just just listen to how Narada Muni instructs Srila Vyasadeva. For me, it's kind of like hearing something from the 10th canto. It's just kind of, you know, like it pierces the heart to just hear that conversation, that dialogue between them. And it's like you can tell that Narada Muni is just trying to get, you know, Vyasadeva to kind of see things in a different way and just bring Krishna more in the whole picture. And they're just talking to each other in such a beautiful exchanges. So 10th canto is actually, you know, realizing that. It's just realizing that. And I believe whatever of course, you know, we're realizing that in more details with Krishna himself, but I believe we can get that through Krishna's devotees. That's why it says this Krishna's devotees are more merciful than him. So, but by reading the first canto, it's especially the first part of the first canto, it is just such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful conversation. You can feel Krishna there, I think.
Thank you so much, Mother. Hare Krishna. So, Kavi Kanapur Prabhu, please unmute.
Yes, thank you very much. I just want to use the opportunity. I don't have a question. I just want to use the opportunity to thank Mother for coming again, for giving us his nectar. And I also am very happy to see his Grace Padmanabhan Prabhu. So I just let me pay my respectful obeisances to Prabhu. Prabhu, Sade Prabhu, you are very fortunate. So your house has become blessed. Haribo.
Right.
Prabhu, Padmanabhan Prabhu went to America. I was doing Harinam. I saw his video. Yeah. So now he has brought all those blessings in your house. Prabhu, you have to share with me.
I will share with you. I promise.
I still have a question. Can you unmute yourself? Mother, I have a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kusha. Prabhu.
Can I ask?
Yeah,
nobody
please.
is asking, Saradev. I already take the mic.
Please go ahead and ask.
No vex.
No.
10th canto is like Krishna's Rasalila pastime, according to Prabhupada. He says the face of the SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, or the face of Krishna. So whatever we study in the scripture, the human spirit tends to try to live according to that, or being influenced by that. And yesterday we were reading on the lecture how Krishna kidnapped Rukmini. So devotees can try to implement that by being influenced by what they read in the scripture, or the story of Hiranyakashipu, all these demoniac natures. When devotees exhibit these attributes in their characters, can it be considered it is due to what they read that is influencing the devotees? Because we only talk about living in the mood of goodness or transcendentalists, but we don't think about all the other bad stories in the scripture can also influence the devotee. And the devotee will be thinking or working towards such attitude. How do we understand how to only accept all those sweet melodies, rasas, good love? But Prabhupada also said we shouldn't read 10th canto because it's about Rasalila. If we don't read Rasalilas of Krishna, how do we love like Krishna was loving? I know it's hard to really think about it, but I've been thinking deeply how we only talk about the other ones and say don't really 10th canto, it's about Rasalila, but we want devotees to love each other. How can we love each other when we don't read 10th canto? And how can we be a devotee without having the character of Hiranyakashipu, Shishupal, and all the demons? Because we're studying all these things. Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare.
I don't think Srila Prabhupada said that. Srila Prabhupada didn't say that. Srila Prabhupada said, read cantos 1 through 9.
I know. More to understand my question, you read 1 to 12, but I'm only asking, we are reading all these books and we have to live according to Krishna's instruction or being in Krishna consciousness. All these demons, all these love rasa lilas, we are reading them. They are also influencing us, good or bad. Take it or leave it. So how do devotees only choose the good ones and leave the demons? If we choose the good ones, how do we not choose also the rasa lilas to love each other?
Okay, Mother, please take it.
Kusha Prabhu, I am so grateful for you. I just so much appreciate your service. What you do for the devotees is by your mercy of having these online classes that you're giving us opportunities to do some service for our spiritual master. And your questions are always invigorating to the brain. So thank you so much. Couple of thoughts, and Padmanabh Prabhu, maybe you can share. My first thought is the simple one. The Guru Vastakam prayer that tells us, by the mercy of the spiritual master, right? That's how we get the benediction to understand anything. And without the grace of the spiritual master, then we can't make any spiritual advancement. So Srila Prabhupada, being a spiritual master, he said, start with the first canto, because we may not be able to really imbibe, as you're saying, the 10th canto in a proper way, because we are conditioned and we tend to think through our imperfect senses. And that's the nature of human beings. But we're kind of like in a good company in a way, because even Lord Brahma did that, Kusha Prabhu. Remember, he himself, thought that he could steal all the cows, and he himself thought that he could do somehow act in a way, because he didn't think Krishna could be the personality of Godhead. So this type of mentality can be there even in the great devas. So for us, which is why Prabhupada asked us, keep it simple. He said, keep it simple. So yeah, we can misinterpret the 10th canto so very much, which is why he requests us to get purified. And so by reading from 1 through 10, by the time we get to canto 9, I remember in Bhakti Sastri in Mayapur and also in Vrindavan, I started studying the 10th canto in Vrindavan. And I had studied the first few cantos in Mayapur, a few years before. And I had a desire. I just really wanted to hear about Krishna. And so I thought, okay, I'll just study the 10th canto, in VIHE. And so I was online. This was during the pandemic, online. And I got online to study the 10th canto. And there were so many beautiful teachers, but there was one teacher that was I couldn't keep my attention with that teacher for whatever the reasons were. And I remembered that so clearly that it wasn't the teacher, it was just me. I wasn't able to really hear at that time what that teacher was teaching. So sometimes, our consciousness may not be prepared to hear some of these pastimes, and we just need to check ourselves and then go back. So what I did is went back to the first canto, started reading the first canto again, and then so that I can kind of become humble in my consciousness. And that way I was thinking, well, that could possibly help me to once again appreciate whatever that teacher was teaching at the time in the 10th canto. So there's, what Prabhupada gives us is so scientific. Yes, I think we're imperfect. We can always try to imitate Krishna, but then we got to ask. I was listening to something today where this devotee was talking about all the superheroes that we have, Batman and all of these superheroes. There's always one thing that makes them come back to being a small person, right? There's always one thing. Superman needs kryptonite, or Batman needs something. There's always something that makes them come back to being just who they are, without powers. So similarly, the pastimes of Krishna is more relishable to the degree that we don't have impurities within our own hearts. I don't know. That's the best that I got, Prabhu. Padmanav Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay. Want to share something?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother, for sharing your viewpoint on this. And just as Kusa Prabhu said, he mentioned, Prabhupada said this is the first 10th canto. Right, Kusa Prabhu, you mentioned that?
Yeah, I'm here, please.
Yeah, you said this is the face of SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM Krishna, something like that you mentioned.
Yes, 10th canto is the face of Krishna, yes.
Actually, in 10th canto, this Ras Panchadhyay, these 5 chapters which describes about the rasa dance, rasa pastimes of Krishna, that is actually heart of SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, heart of Krishna. Okay? Definitely, your understanding is very good that we should study. And there is a verse that Roga can be cured. That word, people being inspired by their lusty desire, they're imitating Krishna and committing all sorts of sinful activities because of the lack of the understanding of the Krishna conscious philosophy. Therefore, I would suggest those who are attempting to read or understand the subject matter from 10th canto, even sometimes by quoting the verse from the Ras Lila where Srila Sukadeva Goswami says that it can cure the disease of the heart, that lusty desire. But I would say, as Prabhupada has recommended, devotees, if they read Prabhupada's book starting from 1st canto, now I am going to show you a verse, commentary of the 1st canto, chapter 11, text number 34, 5, okay? Soye Sorno Lokismin, Avatirna Somaya, Reme Sriratna Kotastha Bhagavan Prakruta Jatha. If you see the second line of this verse, Reme Sriratna Kotastha Bhagavan Prakrito Jatha. Krishna enjoyed just like a mundane person, it looks. But the verse says, Sri Ratna Kutastha. They were not ordinary women. That means the behavior, the pastime between Krishna or the dealings between Krishna and his devotees, even though these intimate pastimes are not to be taken on the mundane platform, or that should not be accepted as a mundane affair. To help us understand this more clearly, Prabhupada has commented in the purport. If you see the last line in the purport, Prabhupada is saying, you see what Prabhupada is saying here? Therefore, it appears like mundane, but actually, they are all transcendental liberated souls, perfect manifestations of internal potency. Last, you see, perfect manifestations of internal potency. Are you sharing this?
Yes.
Okay, so it is shared in the screen. I'm not speaking from my mind, you can see. So that means those who are jumping into kidnapping women or having misbehavior with women without having marital relationship, see, what is the understanding here? Krishna was not enjoying with just any ordinary woman. It was not a mundane affair. Krishna only performs his pastimes with the expansions of his internal potency, his Swarupa Shakti Vritti Vishesha. So in that way, these women, whether you say the queens of Dwarka, you said he kidnapped Rukmini. What? She is a manifestation of Krishna's internal potency. And Krishna's internal potency is meant for giving pleasure to Krishna. That's what we have held to understand what is Krishna and how he behaves with his devotees. Who are they? What is their position? So these points have been already clarified in the first canto of SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. So one who has understood this point, he will never ever get misdirected. He will not be kind of confused. So in that way, what I would suggest is our devotees, they should rather pay more attention in reading this first canto of Bhagavatam. You know, when Prabhupada has said, I have given everything in the first canto, this is what it means. That you can find answer to all complicated questions, all confusions can be eradicated by simply scrutinizingly studying the purports of Prabhupada in the first canto of Bhagavatam. So beautiful. Prabhupada has clarified everything. This is what I would say. I would say in this connection, our devotees, they should read this Prabhupada's purports, which is already mentioned in the first canto of Bhagavatam, thoroughly. It will clarify all their questions and doubts. So in this connection, one who has understood, Krishna is not playing with any mundane women. They are the manifestations of his internal potency. So you as a conditioned soul, you belong to the Tatastha Shakti. You don't have this internal potency coming out from your body and you're going to jump with another woman and thinking that, oh, I am also like Krishna. What courage? What takes you to decide like that? Huh? Just first of all, understand who Krishna is and how Krishna's position, Krishna's personality have been narrated on the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. How acharyas have narrated, what is Krishna's position. So when we have read these books, this commentary, that's why Bhaktivedanta purports are the savior of the whole world. There's so much to learn from. Unfortunately, devotees are not reading Prabhupada's books. And that's the greatest tragedy in our movement, I would say. Therefore, thank you for organizing this class and helping devotees to study these books, Prabhupada's purport. I think keep doing this, Prabhuji. A lot of devotees are going to learn from Prabhupada. And
Prabhu, please, thank you. Just 1 second. There are many ways, that one can be married according to the Vedas. Sex, gallant, and fire. Can you elaborate on this? Because we always offer a gallant to people. We do fire sacrifice, people participate in fire sacrifices, not just breaking principle. This gallant issue of offering flowers, can you throw small light, very small light on this, please?
Even though there are different, way to get married. I mean, so different systems have been established in scripture. But we as a devotee of Lord Krishna, already Prabhupada has established this Vivaha Sanskar for us, that we go to a Grahavipra, to say we go to an astrologer, and you find a match, or go to your spiritual master, then okay, here is a boy, here is a girl, they want to, come together in their married life. And then you just follow the Vivaha Sanskar, and just get married. That's very simple. You don't have to go and fight for a girl. Nobody would like at this point in time, because the world is changing nowadays. We are not living in Satya Yuga or Dwapar Yuga, that on those days what was prominent in the society, prevalent in the society. Same thing can be practiced now. No, now for Kali Yuga, you should enter into proper marriage life by following Vivaha Yajna that we practice, not by following Karma Kanda section of the scripture. What you are saying, like there are so many different types of marriage that mentioned in the Karma Kanda section. We are not interested in that. We are supposed to follow this Pancharatra Vidhi, and this Pancharatra way of entering into marriage life helps the person to enter into Krishna consciousness. We are not just following any Shastra, we are following Pancharatra. Okay, in Pancharatra, again, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he has given the elaboration on how we should enter into marriage life by following the Vivaha Vidhi, Yajna. So that process is already there. We follow that and we should do that in our society. We don't have to look into other, as I said.
Okay, Prabhu, but you are putting yourself in another problem.
No,
how can Devotee go to the spiritual master and say he wants to marry? What the scripture said, the guru, the sannyasi shouldn't think about women and sex. How can a spiritual master be the one you go to bring him thinking about women and sex? It's not an offense.
Listen. Let me finish.
In trouble.
Listen. First of all, they have to follow this Pancharatra And the Pancharatra way of following spiritual injunctions qualify the practitioner to come to the platform of rendering pure devotional service unto Krishna. Then when he is approaching his Guru, he is not approaching his Guru just to justify his lusty desires. As you said, the Guru doesn't have to speak about his sexual relationship with his partner or his would-be wife. Rather, Guru's business is to help them how they can practice their grihastha life in a way that is going to help them attain the lotus feet of Krishna. That is the business of Guru. Then we think, why are you thinking a Guru who is completely spiritual authority, who has taken 100% shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna, has any business to encourage a disciple to have mundane sexual relationship? Why are you thinking like that? No Guru will do that. Prabhupada, if it had been like that, then why did Prabhupada, being a perfect spiritual master, he had to perform this Vivaha Yajna for his disciples? Do you think he was mad? He didn't know what Shastra says? No, that is his duty. That is the duty of a spiritual master, to make that the disciples, they follow the scriptural injunctions correctly, and that is how they should be perfectly situated in their Krishna consciousness. So this is a Vivaha Yajna process for the Grihasthas to be firmly established in their Grihastha life. And Grihastha life is not a kind of, way to enjoy. Unfortunately, some people, they think like, oh, this is kind of, way you can satisfy your lusty desire. No, it's not like that. A perfect spiritual master will guide them. Look, she is there to help you in your spiritual life. See, Vivaha Yajna, it's a Grihastha life is also another way to enter into renunciation. Unfortunately, people are misquoting. They're saying this is a way to enjoy, just satisfy your desires. No, this is a wrong understanding. That is why Vyasadeva was chastised by Narada Muni. He said, in the name of dharma, you have encouraged people for sense gratification. That's why you are not satisfied after compiling so many Vedic literatures. So spiritual master is not a fool. He understands what is the goal. This marriage life is helping them to enter into the process of renunciation. Okay, he's not able to kind of understand his life. Okay, this is the way you can enter into the process of renunciation. Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya. Jnana and Vairagya both must be cultivated in Krishna consciousness. So Guru has to guide the disciples in that way. Our Gurus are trained to guide the disciples in that way. So there's no fault. You don't have to think otherwise.
Prabhuji, if I may ask a follow-up question.
No, does it make any sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Sure.
It does make sense to me, very much.
Okay, good.
But my question, like a follow-up to Krishna Prabhu's question, like you quoted like 1535, that the gopis, the queens, they are all Krishna's internal potency. So we understand that. But Krishna himself also says that he does things to set example for the living entities to follow. So how do we as living entities understand that this particular activity Krishna performed is an example for us to follow, and this activity or action Krishna performed was just for his own Leela? How do we know?
This Rukmini's pastime, Rukmini actually surrendered herself to Krishna. Okay, she wrote a letter, no? You know this. In Bhagavatam also explained that Rukmini Devi, she wrote a letter. And she told that you come and get me because I haven't given my life to you. So that means here the point is somebody in our, that is why you require a spiritual master to give further explanation to what Krishna is doing, what is the lesson. So Krishna is teaching us that you enter into a grihastha ashram where don't mess around with, who you are accepting your wife as your wife. Like people accept today, then after 1 month, okay, going to the court for filing a divorce. Now let me ask you, how many divorce cases are there in Krishna's married life?
None.
None, right? Then do you think Krishna, he accepted these girls just for enjoyment? No. So he's saying that, okay, if somebody has to enter into grihastha life, They have to enter by following proper prescriptions of Shastra. I'm not against you becoming grihastha. I'm not against you accepting somebody as your wife. But follow things as is recommended for you. Krishna says, this sex life is not contrary to
religious principles.
Okay, that represents Krishna. So that means you think Krishna is against your marriage life? No. So that means if you need to understand, he is also kind of leading a perfect grihastha life. If you are talking like that, okay, let us examine the other aspects of Krishna grihastha pastime in VRAJALILA. As a perfect grihastha, you are just taking one bit, like Mother was saying, taking one part, half and theory, you are taking just, what is more liked by you, by your material senses. No, but Gajamendra, Seven Mukhi Juhal Swayameva Spuratyada. What qualification does your material senses have to understand the transcendental pastimes of Krishna? So therefore, you take the other aspects of Krishna's VRAJALILA as a grihastha. So in that you understand, he's teaching us to adopt an ideal grihastha life, even as a human being, as an ordinary human being. And if you follow that, then you can attain perfection. Yeah. That's why he has given, Narad Muni Pancharatra for us Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, other scriptures are not very much useful for us. Pancharatra, we are following the Pancharatra Vedi. Pancharatra is meant for us. Pancharatra is not like any other scripture. It is directly placing us to the platform of devotional service. Understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sadhu for asking such a wonderful question.
I just want to disturb you because I miss you.
Come to Mayapur and teach what I am there to help you. And anytime if you want also we can help you in this platform also, no problem. Yeah,
yes, Prabhuji, since you are here, we would like to formally plead with you that from time to time, please bless us on this platform with your association, please.
Yeah, anytime.
Okay, Hare Krishna. I think Srimad Mahaprabhu, do you have something? I think you raised your hand earlier. Otherwise, we go to Salika Prabhu. But I think you raised your hand.
I wanted to, Hare Krishna, I wanted to give that text that Mataji quoted, Tatenu Kampam, and I posted it in the discussion.
Oh, okay.
That is what.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Shri Salika Prabhu, Prabhu, check your mic. Change your microphone. Salika Prabhu, change your microphone.
Hello.
Okay, you're okay now.
This one is good. Okay, good.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Actually, my Padmanath Prabhu, please accept my respectful obeisances. Glorious Prabhupada, thank you very much for giving your costless association to our dear Sahadev. When he told me you were going to be visiting, I was just meditating, and I'm happy that you blessed this platform. Thank you very much. We've missed you on the teachings of CC, and then we hope that you will resume back soon.
No, I'm doing Prabhuji. CC started.
I wanted to ask a question, and that question is actually for you because we're talking about the.
Hold on, Salika Prabhu. Yeah, Prabhuji is saying that CC has resumed. It started already.
Okay. Then maybe I'll join on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. Join next Friday. Every Friday happening now. I have started this CC class again.
Oh, okay. I'll join this next week then.
Please, welcome.
Okay. I wanted to ask a question in regards to the, you've emphasized in answering Kusha Prabhu and Sahadev Prabhu's question, you emphasize on the Pancharatrika Vidi. And there is always a discussion among devotees when it comes to Garbhadan Samskara. This process of Garbhadan Samskara, it's in our Samskara book, it's almost very difficult to have it as it is prescribed in the scriptures in our modern times. So, but Srila Prabhupada and the guidance on the Pancharatrika Vidi process is slightly different from the Vedic standard of Garbhadan Samskara. So I'd like you to shed some light on that.
First of all, I am a brahmachari. I have not done all these
Did you
things.
hear me?
What I know is, I can tell you, in Mayapur, from
Hare
Bhaktivedanta
Krishna.
Academy, there is a book published on sanskara, which is based on Panchatraika Vidhi. So what you can do is, those who are, brahmanas, we have, that's why, what I am doing now. I have some grihasthas under me. I am training them. I am telling them, look, you have to accept this responsibility, because you don't expect brahmachari and sannyasi to get more absorbed into training or guiding our grihastha couples on all these aspects of their life. And you read, you find out and help them perform the correct way of sanskaras, especially this Kavatan sanskar, so that we can attract many good souls to our organization, and they will be the future of our movement. So if you want, I can connect you with like some grihastha couple. They are already kind of doing these things. Now my idea is, in different parts of the world, I want to identify some sincere grihastha couples who can be trained, and they can represent Mayapur Institute in that location to help and guide the new grihastha couples, so that they can be properly grounded in their Krishna consciousness, and every sanskara should be performed under a qualified priest who is recognized by ISKCON trainers. It is not complicated. We are performing this, and there is a book also, authorized book published. And this much we need to know. Why we have to understand, enter into so many complicated explanations that are appearing in the Karma Kanda section of the Veda? No, we have our Pancharatra given by our acharyas. We need to just follow that. Gopal Bhatta Goswami is given. Satkriya Sadhyapika. It's already there.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. I think I'm very much interested in that. I'm very much interested, and I think I'll connect through Sadev to get the Grihastha forum, so that I can also get some basic understanding. So we can.
No, not Grihastha forum. Now I have one Grihastha couple in Mayapur. Actually, I have allowed them to kind of teach this Grihastha course, couple course. And I'm asking them kind of now train these devotees. If somebody wants to take the lead in their area, how they can help, assist with our devotees who are entering into marriage life and perform the sanskaras correctly. And we have a kind of some devotees in Mayapur who are working on that. You can just join with them and find out more detail. What I have to do, I can just connect with you some qualified grihasthas. At a brahmachari, I should not be getting involved in all these things, but I know what to do. I can guide you. That's it. I don't necessarily have to be kind of involved in digging all these things. Okay, there is a system path meant for the grihasthas. You go and do it. But as long as you need some guidance, I can say, okay, go there, do this. That's it. Done. Society will run very nicely. Why brahmachari has to get involved in every single detail of the grihastha life? It's not required. We have by Prabhupada's mercy now so many grihastha couples, they have been more qualified to do that, give leadership. So we have system, and we want that system to become more practical in our organization, so that in future we can see the more vibrant organization being established that Prabhupada wanted. We are not just like sentimentalists. We're supposed to be living on scripture.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you very much. I'll connect and then get the contact so that I can join.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Madam Mitra, please unmute. Hare Krishna, good to see you.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for speaking. I appreciated Mother VRAJALILA's insight, and her reflections on SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM are always so sweet, because she truly loves it. And I understand it even deeper now after knowing her for so many years. My question is in regards to who and how can the society help families who were, I don't want to say misguided, because that would be critical, yes, no? Who were not exactly fed instructions along these lines that you're giving to Kusha Prabhu that relate to understanding the Grihastha ashram. In some respects, I see a twist where there were some people who understood better the Grihastha ashram before they came deeper into Krishna consciousness, and then came in and were told certain things relating to how one should relate to a mate. For example, that a husband can't hear from his wife. So all these other people the wife has to go to all these other people to tell her husband something that perhaps he should be doing differently, or a behavior or ways that he could do something different. And just to keep him from being inimical. And so to me, that never made sense. It was really strange, because if you can't hear from me, you understand what I'm saying? So in the Christian paradigm, the wife is considered to be the rib of the man, and many spiritual communities, the wife is considered to be a part of the man. So you are to love your wife as you love yourself. But the issue might be that there are people who don't love themselves getting into marital relationships, and therefore acting out and behaving in ways that reflect that onto their mate. So who and how are we helping those families, those people who entered into marriages and vows? The marital vow of 7 times around the fire means lifetimes. We're talking Vedanta, not the piece of paper that people marry in the material world, and that's it. How are we helping? How are we guiding? Because there's a new paradigm now, but you have a lot of casualties left behind. They need to be picked up. They need to be helped. They need to be guided, and they need to be healed. How is that happening? Please.
Asking me? Ask. No, ask her.
Madam VRAJALILA?
No, she's asking me.
Oh, okay. Mother Mitra,
I think she's asking Padmanabh Prabhu.
is this question to Mother Vraj or to Padmanayan Prabhu? Or to both?
It's to Prabhu. Well, to
Prabhu.
Padmanabh Prabhu.
Okay. Okay.
Mother, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. See, this is a very huge discussion. Okay, but I can touch base on a few points you just mentioned. You said we are not supposed to blame devotees, and currently speaking, maybe some of them have misguided, or wrongly they informed devotees. The philosophy, the practice have been taken with a wrong understanding. Yeah, so try to understand this. For example, you gave a case study. Okay, your case study says that husband is not supposed to listen to the wife. Something like that you said, right? Okay, that means sometimes some devotees they take.
I'm sorry. Would you say that again, please?
A husband is not supposed to listen to his wife.
Yes. I've heard this from many people.
Wait. Wait, let me explain to you. Sometimes, a preacher just take a part of the statement and without giving further elaboration to the statement, they just leave it there. And that leads to confusion. Okay, there might be some statement. Yes, there is some statement. But under what circumstance, what is the import of such a statement? It needs to be understood. Okay? It's not that we are talking about an ordinary grihastha life where husband and wife, they're just struggling to satisfy their senses, and they have entered into a grihastha life where each other is thinking how he or she can better gratify my senses on the material platform. Just accepting other party as an instrument to satisfy their senses. This is totally rubbish, and they will not understand anything from such a statement. But under those who are on a proper marital relationship, where the husband is acting like a true spiritual master, patim na sasya, he cannot become a pati, husband, if he is not qualified to deliver the wife from these miseries of this world. Means in this connection, when husband and wife are matured in their Krishna conscious understanding, at that time, both of them going to help each other. Neither husband is going to refuse to the points of his wife, nor wife is going to take advice from the husband as thinking he is enemy, demon. He's going to curse me to hell. No, because their approach will be different. Their approach to their life would be different. So in this connection, I would suggest that both an husband and wife, before they enter into Grihastha ashram, because we expect, we are all conditioned souls, so we will commit mistake. There might be misunderstanding. But one conscious and intelligent decision should be taken by the new Grihastha couple that both of them, they should agree to accept somebody who is situated on a higher platform to be their coach, their guide in Krishna consciousness. When they enter into some disagreement, even after hearing, as you gave an example of some statement from Shastra, then there's a misunderstanding what they should do. The next thing is, because both of them has agreed to listen to a higher spiritual authority, I mean to say who is better than them, accepted him as a spiritual authority, they should go and share their mind. What they think, what has made them to enter into such kind of misunderstanding situation, let that person clarify them. And we need to have many such people in our organization. So as you mentioned that how to do that, well, I would say, why don't you take the lead? You find somebody who has understood these concepts clearly, and if you have some kind of misunderstanding coming from some other people, then you connect with that authority and get the confusions cleared, and then tell the other people. This is a question of training. Our organization is all about training devotees in the science of Krishna consciousness. So you find a correct authority and then work on it. It's not this, what they're just saying in English, late is never, what is that, than before?
Better late than never.
Yeah, better late than never. Right? It's not that you cannot do anything about it. Organization is kind of now gone. No, we are all working. Okay, you take the lead. You identify others and find out who is the correct authority. He's teaching, based on Shastra, Guru, and Sadhu. He doesn't have any agenda behind. Because you are intelligent. Now you are asking this question, means you have gone through some, situation which has brought you to this, platform. And then, listen to that leader and then help others to understand the correct thing. Then society will grow. Society will be established in the correct form. One thing we need to understand, when we say society, we should not say that society means excluding me. No, we are also part of the society. And what are you doing to help the society? Yes, we should all agree that we are all members of this organization and we should not try to avoid the problems, rather take the problem and help as this is my problem and how can I better help. If every person of this organization come up with this understanding and they find the person who is actually speaking on the basis of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, take guidance from them and help each other, it will take no time to see a better ISKCON even today. This is my understanding.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. I want to say that I have a vested interest in, I have a vested interest. How keep this in the carpet? Yeah, he's gonna help out. No. So Prabhu, thank you so much for your input. I have a vested interest in having, I have children. And so I'm not going to regulate, of course, who they marry. Although as a society, I feel that, there's a lot of work to be done, but it has to be done, in my opinion, in a way that relates to integrity. The integrity that is love, the integrity, true love, not what we know, not what I know, what I've known, but relatable to bhakti, relatable to the scriptures, relatable to what these young people who I deal with often are going to come in contact with one way or another, hopefully. And so as long as authorities and leaders, and it's not a criticism, but I speak freely, I don't speak as though I'm a slave. I truly feel that if there's not integrity in how things are dealt with, whether there's abuses of children, women, elderly, cows, or brahmanas, if that's overlooked for the sake of business or politics or anything that's not relatable, we can't show the children the right way to go and what can be offered to them. And I'm saying that again I'm trying to be humble, but I'm not going to mince my words on that. I'm involved in and have seen it too often in the number of years that I've been attempting to serve and become a Vaishnava one day, to become a devotee one day. I desperately hope that this aspect of authority, and we're all imperfect, yes, I get that, but the understanding of they're watching what we do, and if it keeps going around in a circle, it's not going to be productive and it's not going to represent what is needed. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Madam Mitravinda. You always speak from your heart, and that is awesome. Thank you so much. And I think, Madam VRAJALILA, your second name should be Maharaj Parikshit, because you are very good at listening and very attentive listening. So, Mother, if you have something to share, you may share, and then maybe we'll bring the class to a close, because I guess we've held you up a little longer than you anticipated. Hare Krishna.
So I'm wondering if you can maybe pull up this verse. It's the 11th canto. I think it's maybe 11:20. I think Krishna is speaking to Uddhava in that 27 and 28.
Is it
20.
20?
27 and 28.
27, 28?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let me put it on the screen.
Yeah, so this is Krishna speaking to Uddhava. Having awakened faith in the narration of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment. My devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction, even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment. My devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. There's another verse in here also that says, Krishna is, again, this narration is, my devotee should be happy despite falling victim to their senses. So a lot of times the Grahastha ashram, is very challenged because, as Padmanabh Prabhu is saying, the basic foundational understanding of coming together as Grahasthas is for the body, usually. People come together for the body, some bodily sense enjoyment. Unfortunately, as that verse says, it always leads to misery. So there has to be another paradigm to approach, this very sacred union with men and women. And that paradigm is a paradigm of respect and care and love and understanding that, as Padmanabh Prabhu is saying, that it has to be approached, this Grihastha, ashram, from a place of spiritual union, aspiring for transcendental understanding. And, we've been involved in the Grihastha Vision team for, I don't know, more than 15 years, maybe 20 years, something like that. And what we see in the Grihastha Vision team is this basic principle of devotees not understanding why they come together as Grihasthas. And even they have this sense of enjoyment. But Krishna is so kind that even if that's there, Krishna says, my devotees, I want them to be happy. And so it's purification, even if somebody's consciousness is not very evolved, and a support and help from those that do have maybe some deeper understanding. Because even when I've seen, even when devotees have all the samskaras, they still fall victim to their senses. And they still end up wanting to not be engaged in Krishna consciousness. And I think the greatest service that we can do, again, is the mercy of having devotees to remember that our goal is to try as best as we can from whomever can help us to develop love for Krishna in whichever ashram it might be. So yeah, whichever the ashram is, it's that somehow that understanding is missing, that our purpose and our goal is ultimately to develop love for Krishna. And sometimes that journey is troublesome sometimes, but just don't give up on the journey. No matter what it is, don't give up on the journey. Krishna wants his devotees to be happy.
Very, very practical instruction, Mataji. I love it.
I apologize, Prabhu. I'm gonna have to apologize and eat some humility here. I didn't know you were brahmachari, but brahmachari is not just unmarried devotees or spiritual beings. It is also in the grihastha ashram that a husband is considered brahmachari by regulation. So I want to appreciate you for who you are and your commitment to the process, and to appreciate you as a brahmachari, a celibate, and to thank you for your time and for your listening ear. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother Mitra Vrinda. Hope we'll be able to serve this purpose organization for the satisfaction of the devotees in some way or other. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Padmanabh Prabhu, we can't wait for you to get on this forum. You're going to get very blessed. You're going to get a lot of blessings.
Yeah, I need a lot of blessings, Mataji. I deserve that blessing. If you all would like to give me blessings, I'm ready. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Salika Prabhu, you have something to say, Mother, before we bring the class to a close?
It's okay. I think it's all right. So we can go.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much. In fact, Mother Bride, we can't thank you enough for accepting to step in on behalf of Mother Leela, because she had a different engagement. We know you're always busy. You're doing so many things. It's beautiful seeing you do those things, because the other time I think I was discussing with Salika Prabhu, and we both were talking about how Gurudev was doing so many things at the same time, yet you always see him smiling. You can't imagine how he was able to do them all together at the same time, keeping smiling face, responding and corresponding to so many people all over the world. So I think you are blessed with such power and energy. We hope we all get some at some point. So at this point, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute, and then we all chant big Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to Mother VRAJALILA and His Grace Padmanayan Prabhu for blessing our forum today. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama,
Rama Hare Hare.
Atikana Baba
Namo Namaha.
Panchakuti Vaishnava Vrinde ki jai.
Jai.
Bye.
Conference Praise Srimati
Jai.
Devi ki jai.
Jai.
Yay!
Praise
So
Padmanabhan
I am
Ki
praying,
jai.
Padmanayan Prabhu, for your blessings to be able, and from all the devotees, to be able to give this seminar, this workshop today for devotees whose hearts are hurting because they may not be able to follow exactly the process of Krishna consciousness, and they're struggling with that. And this seminar is this workshop is on compassionate listening. So please bless me. Thank you. Hari Hari.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Hari
So
Bol.
by Guru Krishna's grace, we meet here again tomorrow, same time, same place. Hare Krishna.